What's up, team? This is Frank, and this is a quick and dirty review of Children of Morta. I feel like I could save everyone a lot of time by using one word for this review, and that would be yes. Yes, it's a dungeon crawler with some of the best elements from games like the classic Diablos and The Binding of Isaac. Yes, the dungeons and items are procedurally generated each run. Yes, there are multiple characters, each with unique stats, abilities, and playstyles. Yes, the story is epic and immersive and makes you want to get to the next cutscene. And yes, there are a few problems that I wished would have been ironed out, but they're really small. Here, let me explain. You are the Bergson family, guardians who defend the now corrupted Mount Morta. One night, Grandma Margaret had a terrible nightmare and decides to commune with the goddess Rhea Dana about it. Rhea cannot answer Margaret's question and tells her only that something dark and hungry grows in the mountain. This news is very foreboding, so Margaret reveals that the family fireplace hides a secret passage to Sanctuary, which was gifted to the family by Rhea herself. You see, Rhea has 3 spirits she forged to help her take care of the land, but something's gone wrong and it's your job to rectify the situation. Depending on how invested you are in the story, it's really interesting to observe the family members as they ruminate and try to live a normal life above ground. When you feel ready to battle, you can visit Sanctuary to gain access to the various areas in the game. The story will reveal itself to you organically as you play. Like, sometimes you will come across these paintings with narration and backstory. Other times, Grandma Margaret will appear to unlock some latent abilities for the Bergsons. Still other times, you will be given a quest or a challenge. I never found these moments intrusive, since the tense atmosphere of the various stages almost invites these moments of respite and peace. You start the game playing only as John, the stalwart father who fights with a sword and shield. Defending and attacking with your shield raised uses up your shield bar, which you can see here, and this bar is used in unique ways for all the different characters. Now, everyone has an XP bar which needs to be filled in order to unlock new abilities and buffs. Leveling up to each new tier will also reveal a passive trait which is shared amongst all the Bergson family members. For example, getting John to level 20 unlocks health regen for all the family members, or getting Mark to level 4 will make everyone's evade charges regenerate faster. And unlocking all the family traits makes for a great incentive to play with all the characters and not just your preferred ones. Also, if a family member is overused, they will suffer from fatigue, which reduces their HP, necessitating the use of other family members while they rest before their next sortie. As you play through the game, you will unlock each new member of the family. The game does a great job of giving each character unique personalities and playstyles, and even introducing a new character can make for some interesting and heartfelt stories. So who are these playable characters? Well, Linda, John and Mary's eldest daughter, uses a bow and arrow. She can move while she shoots, but this drains some of her stamina. Kevin uses short blades and can go invisible. He's the quickest of the family and has 3 evade charges, whereas all other family members only have 2. Except for John, he only has 1, but his shield makes up for his lack of evasion. Mark is John's eldest son, who studies nature, discipline, and the use of martial arts in combat. He plays like a kung fu monk who can dash a short distance while doing splash damage and filling up his armor bar. Lucy is a prodigal fire mage. She can't move while she shoots, but most things melt quickly to her rapid attack speed. She also has a super handy decoy ability and can create a tornado which stymies enemies who get pulled in. Lastly, there's Uncle Ben's son Joey. He uses a hammer which has a huge swing radius, making up for its relatively slow attack speed. Oh, and he can slam the ground and spin to win as well. As you level up each character, you will gain access to a rage move that accrues from fighting and is depicted here. And these moves can be clutch when you're facing overwhelming mobs and bosses in the game. So there are 3 spirits and thus 3 main areas to visit. And each area is split into zones with various levels to complete within each. You can always revisit areas if you want to grind for more XP, and since they are procedurally generated maps, each visit should grant you a relatively new experience. Now, there's no inventory management. Instead, you will find random items and buffs which only last for your current run. The game has this handy and essential tooltip feature which will do a really good job of explaining each buff and item and will track quest objectives as well. Now, the story feels very fluid and well thought out. For example, I felt really good for Kevin when he got to join the team since I really felt his struggle. And check this out, there's the scene in the game where you had to pick a hero to go through a seriously dangerous trial. Now, Lucy was my highest level and by far my favorite, but I was compelled to use John, who is my least played character and thus underleveled. I can't think of many games where I chose a player because it made sense for the story rather than simply picking my most OP option. Damn, this game got me really immersed. Lastly, in your travels you will collect this gold looking stuff, which definitely should not be confused with gold. It's called Morve, and you can use it to buy upgrades like you would with gold. You can use this gold, Morve, in between outings to upgrade various things from Rhea's book or Uncle Ben's workshop. The Book of Rhea will give you the option to increase drop rates and longevity of certain buffs, but I opted to max out my Morve and XP gain. Sure, this left me a little underpowered around the mid-game, but I quickly made up for it with my huge Morve and XP percentage buffs later on. I was then free to visit Uncle Ben's shop like an absolute baller, paying for things like increased damage, health, dodge, speed, critical rate, and so on. And that's it. That's everything you need to know about Children of Morta. In the end, the game affords you with a very well crafted story, with solid gameplay, pleasing visuals, a surprising amount of animations, and enough randomization and character differentiation to keep me willingly coming back for more. Having said this, there are a few bumps in the road that I want to mention here. First, the game suffers from the age-old trope of different colored highlighter applied to harder mobs, like yellow are tough and red are toughest, and they do things like spawn extra mobs, create pools of acid, or pull you in if you get too close. They also have copious amounts of HP and rarely get interrupted by your attacks, which makes for a comical Benny Hill chase scene for you to play out. Also, Mark has the sweet ability to instantly dash to the nearest enemy in range of your attacks, but sometimes he takes damage when he does this. I had a heck of a time trying to angle and time my attacks to prevent this, and in the end I felt that many of these bumps and bruises were unavoidable. I also found two exploits that really break the game. You can shoot through most walls and obstacles if you place yourself right up against them, and this makes Lucy and Linda godlike if you want to cheat. Also, standing on the other side of a doorway makes you completely invisible to the enemy. They won't attack you or anything, and if you have a ranged attack or the good fortune of them pathing right up to the door, you can really clean up a lot of corruption this way. Lastly, some of the escort quests behave like an afterthought. Like, these guys walk directly to their next waypoint regardless of how many enemies are bashing them in the face. But honestly, I'm just nitpicking. The game does more than enough to offset these small shortcomings with some nice touches. Like, for example, upgrades you can afford have this exclamation mark on them, saving you from manually checking each one. Dropped health potions and usable obelisks show up on the minimap. And when you find the door to the next level, you get the ability to teleport here at your leisure later on, allowing you to explore the rest of the map and try to get more XP, Morven items. Oh, and your avatar also depicts how many dodge charges your character has, as well as the direction they're aiming, which is convenient. And things like pools of acid created by harder mobs will disappear when the boss dies, which prevents you from being stuck in a corner or taking damage after you felled the foe. And the game also tries to break up the pace with randomly placed rooms which have different puzzles and challenges. There's even a chase through danger-infested areas to find Bellagio the Odd. Find her and you're rewarded with an egg that you can use to reset your skill points on your character. And one last thing, the game works well with both keyboard and mouse as well as gamepad, and there's a two-player option for some spelunking and adventuring with a friend. If you're looking for a roguelike dungeon crawler which features excellent storytelling, pixel graphics and animation, a unique and varied cast of playable characters, some tough boss fights, and a family whose virtues and flaws really immerse you into the world of the Bergsons, then yes, you'll really enjoy Children of Morta. If you don't care much for dungeon crawlers with procedurally generated environments, slow and careful progression, and upgrade skill trees, then maybe this game isn't for you. For my part, the game took me about 21 hours to complete, mostly because I wanted to level up all my characters. However, once I got John's innate regen for the family and almost all the upgrades and other traits, the game became really easy, like way too easy. Some of the enemies and boss fights felt like a joke to me at the late game, but before I became godlike, I really dug my time playing Children of Morta. So in sum, yes, I love Children of Morta, and I hope you do too. And remember, this was a quick and dirty review of Children of Morta.
Children of Morta.